we all know v.org/donate is the spot to donate to. And part of the V world is our buddy Stuart. And the Boo-Yah event that's going down in New York next week, and his documentary's coming out next week. Next Wednesday, it's 30 for 30. What's the first time you met Stu, Scott? Do you remember when the first time you came face-to-face with Stuart-ish at all?
Vaguely, because I was at the Golf Channel, which is where I began, and I was Tiger Woods had descended into this place that was just its own almost tier, which is amazing, really, that he took golf and a golfer became that athlete that was on par with a Jordan or a Jeter or a Kobe or whomever. And I think our orbits crossed at some event that involved Tiger. And we just instantly had this thing because I was an ACC guy where Maryland was at the time. It was before the whole college landscape shifted. So we instantly had this Maryland-Carolina thing. And I had this relationship with Tiger, and Stuart did. And so it was really Tiger that I think kind of brought us into each other's orbit. And that was before I came to ESPN. And a lot of folks were really good to me when I came to ESPN. Just in welcoming me. But I think Stuart, as much as anyone, had so much to do with sort of acknowledging me as a worthy peer, someone who had enough juice, as you did and do, to sit side by side with him and go kind of line for line, barb for barb. And you know what that kind of energy was like and what it required of you. And so we met before I was a colleague working together, and then my on-ramp with him, I think, was so much Maryland, Carolina, and we had so much fun with that. And then, as time moves on and you have a chance to really become peers that are working with one another, then it becomes an entirely different thing. And there aren't many of us, Rich, that are lucky enough to know what that was truly like, to try to, hang on to the bull or the rocket ship and ride. But what a blast it was to do that. On those big nights when, a game ends and here it is and it's you and him and off we go.
Yeah. And part of the V Foundation, we're talking about the Stuart Scott Fund at the V Foundation that's already awarded over $22.1 million in grants. And I can't believe I'm saying these words, since his passing in 2015. He's been gone 10 years, Scott. 10 years. And it feels just like yesterday we were watching him on television. I can't believe it.
I agree, and I was really. It was a blessing. I mean, I don't use that word lightly. It was a blessing to be asked a couple of years ago to have Taylor and Sydney on and share with them that there was this that a dedicated space within the V Foundation in Stuart's name was happening to serve underserved communities in terms of research and funding. And I sat there and I'm a crier. I get
me too,
like
man.
I get moved to tears easily. And I have Taylor and Sydney and you again. We knew them as children, and now they're these women of such substance, and they're beautiful, and they're just like their mom and dad, because it's not just dad that are wonderful parents. They've got so much to them, and I look in these faces of women, and I'm like weeping because we're talking about their dad who's not here, and it's just so messed up, that he's not here, and yet, because he's who he was, he always will be. So he always will be Stuart Scott. Like that will always exist in the universe, which I think is magical in a lot of ways, right? A legend truly doesn't die. They live on. And Stuart, like Jimmy V's words, Stuart's words, the last time he spoke publicly, I would argue, were his most impactful.
No question about it. But and having sat in the rafters of Radio City Music Hall with him prior to ESPY Awards, after Jim Valvano's passing, and we would show video of Jim's speech that you're referring to here, and I hope today's show and what you're doing, later on today, or if next time you're on the air, if it isn't today, that's the beauty of your show that you host every night when you do it. It kind of is like Jim Valvano's speech, and that's what I hope to get out of today's show. Laugh and cry, touch grass, live like that's living. And so I'm a crier too, certainly when it comes to Stuart. And I just frequently, think of him. And I can't believe that we're talking about him in the same breath as Jim Valvano because of his speech, and because we used to talk about it. And obviously, neither of us knew what was going to happen to Stu. And so I do think of him often. For instance, the Bears right now, like 9-3. He'd be going out of his gourd about the Bears being 9-3 right now. And the one
for sure. And I mean, he was a man of many interests, and I always joke with him that I appreciated how he had more width than I did as it related to things that interested him. I was just way more knucklehead sports fan, but he had his lanes that obviously Carolina was his most prominently known passion, but he spent a bunch of time in Chicago, so he'd be bandwagoning. I'd say that to you, Stuart, in the great beyond. You'd be bandwagoning because you would have abandoned them over the past however long it's been. But hell, I mean, what a story they are. But and we can certainly get to that. But sure. I'm with you on just the ability. When I did radio and the TV show that I'm fortunate to do, which takes some of the elements from that, right, which allows you the wit to discuss whatever the hell you feel like, to bring Taylor and Sydney on and do what we did is a great reminder that what we are so fortunate to do, Rich, is connect to an audience and to people, and that people largely, almost exclusively, that we care about each other, right? You can fool yourself if you live with your face in your phone and social media and think that that's it. That ain't it. The world cares for one another largely. And, moments like this, opportunities like this to give and to think about the people that you love, some of whom we've lost, and others who will be in the fight at some point. What is it you can do to try to be helpful? And what we do is try to bang the drum for Stuart in his name and smile as we remember the times we had and weep for the things that we don't get to do anymore.
And certainly on this Giving Tuesday, v.org/Stuart, if you'd like to give to the Stuart Scott Fund at the V Foundation. And again, the principal and the Principal Foundation are matching all donations up to $1 million. So v.org/Stuart. in that regard, and v.org/donate overall. Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.